film buffs. I'm back for today's third and final review. This is Straight Shooter. I'm at Team Sound Studios. This time I'm reviewing Ford versus Ferrari, and my review will have spoilers. So, it's a racing movie, but there's a lot more than just that. The video stars Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby, Christian Bale as Ken Miles, John Bernthal as Lee Iacocca, and a whole bunch of other characters. It's basically about how Ford became a contender for building a racing vehicle, which was the Ford GT. It's pretty interesting how it all came about, because Ford was always just either an economy car or a truck or something that people buy to get from A to B. It was never sporty, it was never fancy, but they changed that with the invention of the Mustang and with the invention of the Ford GT. But the Ford GT was contending for a racing spot in Daytona and then the Le Mans. And Ferrari wasn't having it. And it was interesting too, because Ford was trying to buy Ferrari. And Ferrari didn't want to deal with them because they thought that they had cheap cars, cheap factory, and all this stuff. They insulted Ford. So they said, okay. Henry Ford II said, okay, we're going to build a car that's going to beat the shit out of Ferrari. So they souped up the Ford GT. Ken Miles drove the car because Matt Damon, who played Carroll Shelby, his character, apparently the doctor didn't want him to drive race cars anymore because his heart couldn't take it. So they had Ken Miles, who was kind of a loose cannon, but he was a really good driver. He was probably the best driver of the time. And it was through him that they were able to win the Daytona, almost win the Le Mans with the Ford GT. What happened was they said, we want you to go side by side with the other two Fords. There was some controversy where one crossed the finish line first and there wasn't a tie and all this stuff. But that was just a little bit of drama to make it not like a feel-good happy ending, I guess. But the characters of Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles, they're probably exaggerated for the purpose of the movie, and most true stories in movies are exaggerated for dramatic purposes. But I did like the character of Ken Miles. And Christian Bale gets a lot of shit, but he really is a good actor, and he's kind of a method actor, and I think his process works a lot of the time, because you really get the sense that he's embodying the character that he's playing, whether it's Batman or whether it's John Connor, even though it was a shit movie, or whether it's Ken Miles. And I think he did a really good job. Matt Damon, who isn't known for being all that versatile of an actor, he's kind of more of an action hero and a comedy guy, the Kevin Smith movies. But he proved that he can do drama with this movie, and he did The Martian, which was also pretty good. There are other good performances in the movie, like Henry Ford and BB, the guy that was the assistant who played the kind of villain who said, we don't want Ken Miles to do this or do that or whatever. And, everyone was always, screw you or whatever. I think the movie was about as close you can probably get to an accurate depiction of a true story. In the world of biopics that are being made these days, it's a rare treat to see a movie that actually cared about the real story enough to tell as much as they could on screen. I enjoyed it. The only thing that I really wasn't crazy about was the ending. And I know that it was true to the story. Showing Ken Miles almost win at the Le Mans, but getting a moral victory. And then seeing the next scene, which is him doing a test run, and then he crashes and dies. I don't know. It's kind of a bittersweet ending. I didn't think it was really necessary. I think if they wanted to do a better ending, they could have showed him walking off with Carroll Shelby at the Le Mans, and then starting to put the words on the screen to what the rest of the story was. And I think the ending was just kind of a bummer. But for the most part, I like the movie, I like the story, I like the actors, I like the characters. For a period piece that takes place back in the day, which is really hard to do these days because of technology, and it's hard to believe some of the things that they're showing that don't exist. They pulled it off pretty well. And they really gave it like an old-time feel without pandering to that time period, if you get what I'm saying. What I mean is you didn't feel like you were trapped in the 50s or 60s. It just felt like they were telling a compelling story that happened to take place back then. And it's a difference between, if you saw my Once Upon a Time in Hollywood review, what bugged me about the movie was concentrated around the time period. And there wasn't much of a story or a plot other than the fact that, hey, you're in Hollywood in the 60s. Go 60s. And Ford versus Ferrari tells a compelling story about racing, about Henry Ford, Lee Iacocca, Carroll Shelby, and Ken Miles, but it happens to take place back in the 50s or 60s. So that's the difference. I enjoyed the movie. I didn't think it was great, and it wasn't my first choice of a movie to go see, but I guess a friend of mine said, why don't we see this one? And I hadn't seen it, so I was like, okay. I wasn't planning on it, but I'll go. Sure, it might be fun. And it ended up being entertaining. I liked it enough. I wouldn't say that I'll be going to get the Blu-ray when it comes out, or the 4K. But overall, I give the movie a B-. Yeah, that's what I'd give it. It was good, it wasn't great, but I enjoyed it enough. And that's how I see it. So that's it today. 3 reviews. Your boy is busy. But I should probably let you know that I don't really have any plans to see any other movies until Star Wars comes out. If I happen to see another movie before then, of course I'll review it. But the only thing I can promise right now is that I will be reviewing Star Wars when it comes out. So take care, film buffs. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what you think, how you think the reviews are, what do you think of the channel, what do you think of the format, what do you think about me. In any case, take care. I'll see you guys.